My beloved child, before continuing with this message that will change your life, pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Allow my presence to touch your heart right now. If you're watching this video, know that it wasn't by chance that brought you here. It was my unconditional love that prepared this encounter from before the foundation of the world. Share the word present in the comments below, so I know you are ready to receive what I have prepared. Subscribe to this channel because through it I will continue to pour out profound revelations into your life. I see every tear you've shed in silence when no one else was watching. I know every sleepless night, every moment of despair when the pain seemed greater than your strength. I have been present in every doctor's appointment that brought more questions than answers, in every seemingly unanswered prayer, in every moment you wondered if I still cared. How many times have you cried out in your heart, "How long, O Lord?" Today I come to personally answer this cry that echoes in your spirit. Remember my servant Job? In the midst of the deepest suffering, when he lost his health, family, and possessions, he maintained his integrity. Even when his own wife advised him to curse me and die, he remained steadfast in his faith. And in due time, I not only restored his health, but multiplied everything he had lost twofold. Just as I did with Job, I want to do with you. But I need you to understand, sometimes I allow the night to linger so that you can witness the most glorious dawn. Do you remember Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers? 13 long years passed between the pit where he was thrown and the palace where he was exalted. During that time he faced the loneliness of prison, the pain of injustice, the weight of chains. But every moment of trial was preparing him for a greater purpose. Likewise, your period of affliction is not a waste. It is a preparation for the extraordinary. As you read these words, I feel your heart longing, seeking an answer, a direction. I see how your shoulders carry the weight of so many failed attempts at healing, the medications that didn't work, the therapies that brought only temporary relief, the promises of healing that dissipated like the morning mist. My child, you have been struggling in your own strength, trying to solve everything alone. Like Martha, who was anxious and troubled about many things, Luke 10:41, you have been occupied with countless human solutions, forgetting that only one thing is necessary, to sit at my feet and receive. You have consulted doctors, sought treatments, researched alternatives. There is nothing wrong with that. I myself give wisdom to those who heal. But today, I want to reveal a secret that will revolutionize your life. The healing you so desperately seek is not in complex formulas or great sacrifices. It is in the simplicity of total surrender. When Naaman, the commander of the army of Syria, came to me covered in leprosy, he expected a grandiose ritual, something befitting his position. 2 Kings 5. He brought with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. He expected my prophet to come out to greet him with honors, perform dramatic gestures, invoke name upon name. But I sent him to dip himself 7 times in the Jordan River. A simple command, seemingly foolish in human eyes. Do you know why? Because I wanted to teach him that healing is not in the complexity of actions, but in the simplicity of obedience. The same thing happened with the man born blind. Jesus could have performed an elaborate ritual, but he simply made mud with saliva, applied it to the man's eyes, and told him to wash in the pool of Siloam, John 9. Healing came not from the complexity of the method, but from the simplicity of faith. When he obeyed, his eyes were opened for the first time, beholding the wonders of creation that he had only known by touch. Today, I bring you an equally simple command. 2 words that, spoken with faith, have the power to open the floodgates of heaven over your life. Yes and Amen. In yes is your complete surrender, your unwavering trust in my purposes, even when they seem different from your plans. In Amen is the certainty of victory, the conviction that my word will not return void, but will accomplish the purpose for which I sent it. Isaiah 55:11. These two words are like mystical keys that open portals in the spiritual realm. When you say yes, you are aligning your will with my perfect will. You are declaring, as Mary declared to the angel Gabriel, "Let it be to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. When you pronounce Amen, you are placing your seal of faith upon my promises. You are declaring, as my servant David, "So be it, and so it shall be." As long as he kept his eyes fixed on me, the impossible became possible. The natural laws bowed before the force of faith. The same sea that threatened to swallow him became a road beneath his feet. So it will be with you. When you keep your eyes fixed on me, above the circumstances, you will see the supernatural manifest in your life. Think of Abraham, who against all hope, in hope believed. Romans 4:18. Even when his body was as good as dead and Sarah's womb equally lifeless, he remained steadfast in the promise. Why? Because he knew that I am the God who calls into being things that were not. Romans 4:17. Likewise, I want you to declare life over areas that seem dead, health over places that seem hopelessly ill. My beloved, before we continue, I want you to pause. If this message is touching your heart, if you feel my presence as these words penetrate your spirit, share it with someone who also needs healing. Click share right now. This may be the gesture that will save a life. Remember, when you become a channel of blessing, my power flows with even greater intensity in your direction. Just as the woman who touched the hem of my garment after 12 years of illness, Luke 8:43-48, you are one touch away from your miracle. For 12 long years, she consulted doctors, spent all her savings, endured painful treatments, only to see her condition worsen. But in a moment of faith, she broke protocols, crossed crowds, ignored criticism, and reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. She didn't need long speeches or elaborate ceremonies. A simple touch, moved by faith, was enough for healing power to flow. For 7 days, I want you to dedicate 7 minutes of your day to declare these two words, yes and amen. They are not just words, they are prophetic declarations that move the heavenly armies. When you say yes, the angels position themselves to execute my decrees in your life. When you declare amen, spiritual seals are broken and blessings dammed up begin to flow in your direction. Contemplate for a moment the miracle of metamorphosis. The caterpillar doesn't transform into a butterfly instantaneously. There is a process, a time of seclusion in the chrysalis where apparently nothing is happening. But it is precisely in this period of apparent stagnation that the deepest transformation occurs. Likewise, your healing may not be instantaneous, but every moment of the process is sacred and necessary. Consider also the seed planted in the ground. Before seeing the first sprout breaking through the soil, there is a whole invisible work happening in the depths. The seed needs to die so that new life can emerge. John 12:24. So also it is with your healing. Sometimes old structures need to be broken down so that the new can arise. On the first day, you may feel that nothing has changed. Your circumstances may seem exactly the same. The pain may still be present, the symptoms may persist, the medical reports may continue unchanged. But remember Elijah, who sent his servant 7 times to look at the horizon before the smallest cloud appeared. 1 Kings 18:41-45. Persistence in faith always precedes the miracle. When Moses stretched out his staff over the Red Sea, Exodus 14, the waters didn't part instantaneously. The Bible tells us that a strong east wind blew all night, preparing the way. Similarly, from the moment you declare your first yes and amen, heavenly forces will begin to move, preparing your way for the miracle. On the third day, something will begin to stir in the spiritual realm. Just as Jonah spent 3 days in the belly of the great fish before his deliverance, Jonah 1:17, you will experience a profound inner change. Your cells will begin to respond to the divine command. Your spirit will align with my perfect will. In the unseen realm, a revolution will be underway. Remember the dry bones that Ezekiel saw in the valley, Ezekiel 37. First came a rattling sound, then the bones came together, then came the tendons, the flesh, the skin, and finally, the breath of life. Your healing may follow a similar process. First, the subtle signs, then the visible changes, and finally, the complete manifestation of the miracle. On the 5th day, you will begin to notice subtle signs of my presence working in your life, like the little olive branch that the dove brought to Noah, Genesis 8:11. They will be evidence that the transformation is underway. It may be an improvement in sleep, an increase in energy, an inexplicable peace in the midst of circumstances, a renewed hope in your heart. Keep your spiritual eyes open. Every little sign is a confirmation of my love for you. Just as Elisha's servant had his eyes open to see the chariots of fire that surrounded them, 2 Kings 6:17, your spiritual eyes will be opened to perceive my operation in every detail of your life. You will begin to notice divine coincidences, providential encounters, words of encouragement that arrive at the exact moment. On the 7th day, prepare for a powerful manifestation of my glory. Just as the walls of Jericho fell on the 7th day after 7 circuits, Joshua 6, the fortresses of sickness, pain, and affliction in your life will be defeated by the power of your declaration of faith. This will be the day of the turning point, the moment of your breakthrough, the hour of your miracle. Observe the farmer who casts seed on the ground. He doesn't harvest on the same day he plants. There is a time of waiting, a time of care, a time of trust. But he doesn't doubt. He knows that every seed planted in faith will produce its harvest in the appointed time. Galatians 6:9. Similarly, every declaration of yes and amen that you make is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of faith. Some will germinate quickly, others will take longer, but all will produce their fruit. Just as the farmer needs to protect his crop from pests and weeds, you will need to guard your faith from the doubts and discouragement that will try to stifle it. The enemy will try to plant negative thoughts, questions, memories of past failures. But just as a well-maintained garden gives no space for weeds, a heart full of faith gives no place for unbelief. My beloved child, we have reached the crucial moment of this revelation. If you have felt my presence touching your heart as you read this message, if something within you has stirred as you contemplate these truths, I want you to do 3 things right now. First, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. I have much more to reveal to you in the coming days. Second, leave in the comments the word that most touched your heart during this message. Third, prepare to witness the transforming power of these 2 words in your life. Remember the widow who, in the midst of scarcity, had her oil multiplied. 2 Kings 4. She first needed to make available all the empty jars she could find. The more jars she prepared, the more oil flowed. Likewise, I want you to open your heart completely to receive what I will pour out. The greater your expectation, the greater the miracle. Think of David facing Goliath, 1 Samuel 17. He didn't just accept the challenge, he ran toward the giant. His confidence was not in his strength, his skill, or his weapons, but in the power of the God who sent him. Likewise, I want you to run toward your circumstances with a shout of victory. Yes and amen. From today, when the pain tries to overwhelm you, declare, yes and amen. When fear knocks at your door, proclaim, yes and amen. When circumstances seem impossible, shout, yes and amen. When the medical reports are discouraging, yes and amen. When your strength seems to be fading, yes and amen. When the night seems endless, yes and amen. when everything seems lost. Yes and amen. My power has not diminished since I healed the man born blind. John 9. Since I raised Lazarus from the dead. John 11. Since I multiplied the loaves and fishes. Matthew 14:13-21. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who shut the mouths of the lions. Daniel 6. Who walked on the water, Matthew 14:22-33, who turned water into wine, John 2, is even now extending his hand towards you. As it was with the Syrophoenician woman, Mark 7:24-30, who did not give up even when it seemed that Jesus was rejecting her, your persistence will move my heart. As it was with the centurion, Matthew 8:5-13, who understood the authority of the spoken word, your faith will touch my heart. As it was with Bartimaeus, Mark 10:46-52, who did not keep silent even when they tried to silence him, your cry will reach my ears. You didn't get here by chance. This is your moment. This is your hour. The healing you have sought is 2 words away. The miracle that seemed impossible is 1 yes away. The transformation you yearn for is 1 amen away from manifesting. Open your heart, release your faith, and declare with me, yes and amen. Your miracle has already begun.